This is this is 1 minute past 8 on a Thursday night. There's not been one of these for a while. I've completely lost. I was going to do something. And I can't find it. Oh well, it's all right. I was going to do this.
Sharing your stories and playing your songs on Graham's JFDI Show.
That was a bit of anticlimactic. Listen, we've not done this for a while. And normally I've got like a big list of things. However, when I tell you what we're going to do tonight, going to have a bit of a chat. 2 guests, maybe got a little bit of news, maybe got a little bit of opportunity for interaction for anybody watching. So if you've got any questions when you see who it is that I'm going to bring in, then fire questions in. You know where they might get answered, they might not. Listen, what can I say about this evening's guests? I gave a little bit away in it wasn't so much. There wasn't anything really cryptic about it, was it? Swamp donkeys, bikers. There's only so many people that's going to be, right? So let me introduce you to, first of all, David Marshall, and next, Mr. Andrew O'Hare. Good evening, gentlemen, and welcome. After over, I have to say, 18 months of asking and being told promptly to GTF, that here we are. So, Andy, can I ask you a question first? What changed?
Oz is going to kill me. Right? Me and Oz made a pact that we'd never go on this. Right? We said, "Are you going to go on PP's show?" And I said, "No, never." And he said, "No, me neither, never." So we're here shamelessly promoting our tour, our big trip that myself and David Marshall are going on very shortly for a very good cause, both in Scotland and in Ireland. So, yeah.
Shameless plugs. You know you can come on here and have a shameless plug. You've seen the number of shameless plugs that I have. Usually, if I'm on air for any more than 30 seconds, there's a shameless plug. So it's absolutely brilliant. No, listen, thank you for coming on, and Davey as well. Honestly, thank you so much for coming on. So, what's the T-shirt you're wearing?
You're very welcome. This is the charity that we're doing something for. This is Scottish Association for Mental Health. It's actually their centenary year this year, so we've decided to go big and try and promote it. And it's not just about raising money for the charity, it's also about raising awareness for mental health.
Fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. That is something. We could talk all day and all night about that, and I love that. I love the fact that not only do Sam H, that talk about mental health and that it's that awareness, right? Awareness. Yes, we've had awareness, and now we're wanting action, and we've got action here tonight. So,
big challenge of this as well. It's not just about people with mental health. It's also about those that support those, because a lot of the time, people with mental health around them, they don't know how to support them. So this is about promoting that as well, saying that there's help for them as well. It's not just about the people with the mental health. It's how can you support those people? It's what do you say to them?
Yeah.
How do you drive them forward? So yes, it is for people with mental health. There's help out there for everybody. It's for you to want to speak.
Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I think it's very timely at the moment. So, let's roll back, because we'll get onto this. I want to start at the beginning, and a question for both of you in terms of where your love for motorbikes comes from? How far back does it go for you?
Oh, well, for me, it goes back to the age of 15, when my uncle, my mum's only brother, mad motorcyclist, absolutely father figure to me, bought me my first motorbike. Now, that's my uncle Gerard. He unfortunately died this time last year, exactly a year ago, to this weekend. So it's a fitting tribute. I never even thought about this before coming on. It's a fitting tribute that we're talking about him on this show, that us going on a motorbike trip, that he's the very man that got me into motorbikes all those years ago. The only time I never had a motorbike was when I was with you guys in the raft. That's the only time I've never had a bike. I love them. I built my own bike recently, a few years ago. And I've just got into all sides of them, the mechanical side, the riding side, obviously. So yeah, that's where it all started for me, many years ago.
Well, the question I was going to ask you, Andy, I don't ever remember you having a bike whilst we were in there so you just confirmed now.
Yeah,
but there you go. So that, yeah. What about yourself, Davey?
Mine's a lot easier. Mine's I had a midlife crisis in my 40s. I've only been riding bikes for about 7 years, so it's ended up getting one. I thought, oh, this will be fun, and as soon as I got one, it's one of those scenarios where you think, why have I never done this before? It's and I've already done a couple of trips on it. It's more the touring biking that I'm enjoying rather than the speed and things.
Yeah.
And just getting on the bike and going anywhere with your tent in the back. It's fantastic.
Nice. What did Shirley think about a motorbike for a midlife crisis?
She thought I'd get it, it'd be out the system by now, and then move on. She wasn't very keen at all.
Right. Is she mellowed to the idea yet?
She's mellowed to the idea. I ended up doing my advanced motoring, advanced riding, and because of that, she's a lot happier, should I say.
Right.
She still won't get on the back of the bike. The young lad will. The young lad loves it. But, she won't get on the bike.
Right. Okay. But you've been given the thumbs up. You've been given the green light for this tour.
Oh yeah, fully supported. My wife actually sold her little car so I could buy a new bike to go on this trip.
That's love for you, isn't it?
That's love, eh?
I think something else is coming there.
I don't know what the hidden agenda is yet, but I'm sure it'll come to the surface soon.
Absolutely not. Let's assume there absolutely isn't one. She's just fully supportive of her loving husband. That's all that it needs to be, right?
She does believe that this is going to stick in me with biking, so I'll give it up after.
Right. Nice.
I think that's a wish.
Right. So, in terms of tours, this obviously isn't the first time that you've done this, Andy. So, when was because I remind me, listeners, viewers, of when the first time was that you did this, and why you kind of chose to do what you did last time, the first time round, because we must be on to about 2 or 4 now.
Yeah. Well, no, I did a big one back in 2015. I did a big one, Land's End to John O'Groats, and then on to Europe. But the Land's End to John O'Groats was sort of crisscrossing across the country. There was no straight route. It was like I was crossing Whitby with Davy Pike. I was up with Andy McGill. You know, I was crisscrossing across the country. I stayed with Davy actually. The second night I stayed with Davy up in you were in Elgin at the time. Yeah, you were. Oh, you've moved so many times, Dave. Yeah, so that was master. And then what I did on the stay with Simon Goulding, absolute gentleman. And then from Locking all the way down, Stretch. Oh man, what a lifesaver that man was. Absolutely unbelievable. He saved my bacon. I broke down just outside Penzance in Cornwall. The whole bike just died. And literally from Cornwall, I was going to John Smith's place in Portsmouth. And I was then meeting up with a lot of guys heading off to Europe on the trip. So my bike had died in Cornwall. And Stretch came out to pick me up, and I stayed with him that night. It was absolutely brilliant. We got the bike to the shop the next morning. Everything was unbelievable. But yeah, fantastic time. So, and then on to Europe. So I did. That was about a 6-week trip as well, all in all, UK and Europe. But yeah, this time it's different. That I'm doing it for this charity. I know Davey's got the Scottish one there. I'm a similar one. It's an Irish mental health organisation. It's called Pieta House, and it's not too far from this place where I live at the moment, where they set up a number of years ago. They actually set up in a house. These parents, their child had committed suicide, so they set up this place called Pieta House, and that it started from the house. It's now an absolutely huge organisation. But they still rely on 80% of the funds coming from this sort of work, the funding. Only 20% comes from the government services, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. But anyway, mental health is close to my heart. I became a mental health first aider in work in the last 3 years as well. Yeah, so it's going on why I'm doing the funding now. We're coming out of lockdown, and there's a lot of mental health problems out there that people are reporting, and there's just doesn't seem to be enough services for them. So anything we can do to help get more attention to it, get more money towards it, anything at all is our aim here, really. But yeah, we did the last tour we did the North Coast 500, myself and Davey and my brother.
Yes, that's right.
We had a fantastic tour up there. Absolutely beautiful part of the world, right up the very tip top of Scotland. So yeah, that was brilliant. So that was the last time myself and Davey been on the bikes together, wasn't it? Oh no, you came over to Ireland then. Yes. Well, that was a quiet one.
All right. So you can't stop there.
Yeah, it was me, Davey, and my brother Davey. Oh my God. Yeah, so we had a fantastic time. We literally met on the west coast of Ireland. Davey Marshall came across in through Belfast. We came up from Dublin and met literally in a triangle sort of away from Dublin up in the Connemara Mountains at a pub by the sea, basically.
Oh.
We literally arrived within 10 minutes of each other. Fantastic. So yeah, we did a massive tour there up into Northern Ireland, around the coast. Fantastic tour. Really enjoyed it. So but this one's slightly longer. We won't go into too much at the moment. But, yeah,
right. You don't want to go into this one at the moment. Not yet. Not yet.
No, I'm waiting for you to ask the question.
Hey, listen. As long as you're talking, I was going to actually start this off by saying I don't have any questions written down, but as soon as you had messaged me and said, right, let's do this, I was like, I have a million questions. I already had a million questions from when I'd asked you to come on the podcast before, even being told no. I was like, I've got loads of questions. I don't need to write them down. I just need to keep asking them until you say, shut up, Richardson, I'm not answering that. Move on, next. Because I kind of figured, right, okay. And like you said, Mark Osborne, he's going to kill you. I can also, if I'd have dropped messages out and said, right, Andy's coming on with Davey, what questions do you want asked? I would just have to read them out, go, no, I can't answer that, I can't ask that, I can't ask that, I can't ask that. I could ask that, but you might just look at me and go, no. So, so we've had these tours, right? For anybody that doesn't know, for anyone that has no idea, and I'm fairly sure that most people watching will, actually, let me ask you something that maybe nobody will know. What's your first? I'll ask you both. First of all, Davey, I'll ask you first. What's your first memory of Andy?
Swinderby.
Swinderby.
Yeah, Swinderby. He was on the opposite flight. We joined up the same day, and all the Scots were in one flight, and I think we had some Irish as well. But Andy was for some reason, he was in with the English flight. I don't know why, but again, it probably is that accent. You know what I mean? And
He needed some decency.
He was always one of those that could almost keep up with me when we were doing the running. So it's,
Marshall.
Okay, Mr. O'Hare, would you like to respond? Your first memory of Mr. Marshall?
Well, there's a lot of memories of Mr. Marshall. Mr. Marshall was my best man at my wedding as well. But that's for another conversation. But yeah, like Davey, my first memories of Mr. Marshall was at Swinderby.
Yeah.
Even though, like Swinderby, you get to meet the people in your room, you get to meet the people in your flight. Me and Davey were on opposite flights. He was upstairs, I was downstairs. But we were competitive motherfuckers. He would go out and break the cross-country record. And I'd go out the following day and break the cross-country record. And he'd go following day and break it. And our names were going Davey Marshall, Andy O'Hare, up on the board. Davey Marshall. And so we never actually met each other in Swinderby, Davey.
No.
We didn't actually meet until booking. But we always knew each other's names.
Right.
So, yeah. That's my first memory of Davey Marshall's Swinderby.
Now, there you go. Okay, so then that's a great opportunity to follow up with for both of you. What's your first memory of like the first time that you met each other? I wonder if you both have the same memory of that, the first time you met.
Probably not. Sort of,
What, you can't remember?
Andy was single at the time, I think. And I'm sure it must have been on the rugby field, or it was in the gym or something. Either that, or he was in the G, surrounded by women. One of the two. I can't exactly remember. I can't remember the very first time that we actually engaged, if that makes sense. So it's.
You can't remember.
Oh no, there's just so many memories. There's so many. They all melt into one. So it's. I don't know if Andy can remember the first time.
I can't remember the first time. There's so many memories now. It's all garbled up. Those years of booking are a haze at best. But absolutely fantastic times. I do remember our rugby days. Robbie Marshall, your brother, will never forgive me for that hospital pass. Yeah, there's so many memories there. But yeah, the G, just basically, yeah. Oh, the Faroe Islands as well. Me and Davey got a fantastic trip to the Faroe Islands.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Detachment together.
Detachment to the Faroe
So
Islands.
it's a double bed, and they had to top the tail, didn't they?
Yeah.
And your snoring was horrendous.
And it was the year Denmark won the Euros, wasn't it?
Right, yeah.
They literally, a couple of weeks before we got there, they had won the Euros and they were still celebrating. And it was the year they got in the last minute, didn't they? They weren't supposed to get in. Wasn't that the case? Yugoslavia or somebody got knocked out because of the war or something. So Denmark were the closest and they got in. They won the whole competition. 1990? 92, was it?
1992. That 30 years ago. 31 years ago. 1992.
Remember those cocktails,
Huh?
Andy, remember those cocktails in the bar?
Oh yeah, what the fuck are you doing on the floor? That was the name of the cocktail.
Do you remember what was in it, or was it more like what wasn't in it?
Oh. Yeah, I think it's easier to say what wasn't in it.
And what of the sports and socials? Oh, and what of the hollows in at RAF Buchan? What are your favourite memories of that place?
My favourite memories are probably the impromptu nights that you had. Sort of, for example, I remember we had a toga night, but it was not planned. Just somebody decided to come up, and then everybody just went off and ended up getting the bed sheets and things like that. So, and then you also had the Friday night Bex nights. Drink as many Bex.
Yeah, was it Bex for a pound? Was it Bex for a pound? Was it?
Yes. So I remember those. It was John McGlasson that started that. I remember that, John and Phil Vickers, wasn't it? Or was it Phil Vickers?
Oh,
and then obviously
crikey.
after the rugby games.
Yeah. Crikey, John McGlasson. Now that's a name that I've not heard for a number of years.
I actually came across his page the other day. I was looking through it and I said, oh, geez, because I used to work in the Social as well. I used to do some shit down there with John McGlasson, and he had such a laugh. He actually got me to play American football in Aberdeen, the Aberdeen Oilers. He was doing something with, I don't know whether he was the head coach or one of the coaches, the back coach or whatever. But yeah, I remember playing a few games for the Aberdeen Oilers. There was a few of us. I can't remember who else came out. But yeah. Yeah, so my American football debut in Aberdeen.
How many times did you play?
I don't know, I think it's about half a dozen times or so.
All right. American football. Didn't you enjoy it?
Yeah. It was, I think initially, they were only starting up, and I think initially it was just to make up the numbers, because I didn't even know the rules. But I got to know them fairly quick, and I enjoyed it.
Crikey. There you go, some names there. What about so what else about the sports and socials? Do you know what are there any names, or are there any I guess nights that stand out in that sense for you, Andy, in there?
I know where you're going with this, you bastard.
I'm just asking the question. I'm not steering you down the road. I don't know where your mind is.
No, I mean every night down there was absolutely crazy. The next nights were brilliant, absolutely brilliant, breaking the records.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the people. That place was unbelievable. Our watch was fantastic. Always up for a laugh every time. But not on the sports and social. B-Watch used to go to the Ifa, the fairways out in Cruden Bay.
Oh, in Cruden Bay.
Yeah, so we had a great time out there. Like, it was the best pool table you could get in the area, and the best jukebox. And at 11 o'clock in the morning, in fact, the couple that owned that pub were from Dublin. And
right.
I remember we woke them up, the whole watch. We came off nights and head out to like Taff Langdon, to name a few, Mark Osborne, the whole crew, Kerry Dunsmore, Anne Foy, all of us head out, great, absolutely great lunch. And I remember we woke him up in the pub. He puts his head out the window. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. So, all right, lads, we'll be down in a minute. And he comes and opens the pub for us at 9 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, some of the memories of that place is fantastic. The character.
Yes, I hear I heard this modern day phrase, right? I never remember the phrase day drinking when I was like 19, 20. Was it ever referred to as day drinking back then? Was it not just a day sesh or an all dayer? Was it a day sesh? Yeah? Yeah. Yeah, people refer to this as day drinking now. It means very little to me, and I wouldn't dream of doing it now. I'm too old and suffer. But yeah, anyway, there we go. So another question in relation to swamp donkeys. So I guess in two parts. When did you guys once, I don't know who left Bucking in which order, but did you lose touch for a few years, or have you stayed in touch since you both left Bucking? What was the story there?
I don't know how it all came about, but we started. Well, I got posted to Bentley on promotion down there, and then into STC. I actually got posted from the bunker in Sado across the road into STC then. But yeah, we lost touch for a bit, but then the internet came around and everybody started getting in touch again. And the rugby started to be the main focus. And I think for the last, it must be 25 years or so, Davey, that we've been going to the rugby, the Ireland-Scotland games. I've been going to Edinburgh, and all the lads have been coming here. I mean, and it ranged from anything from 5 to 25 going to the rugby.
Right.
Every year was different, whoever could make it, you know. But there was always the Marshalls.
Yeah.
And there was always Toddy, you know, Toddy Anderson.
Right.
And then Jimmy Quinn, Stevie Lewis, George Whitecross, Martin. You know, the usual crowd. We ended up going to Saxa one year, the Shetlands, because Buchan it was the 25-year anniversary of Buchan winning the Sevens, was it?
Right.
And George and Davey are qualified referees up in Scotland, rugby referees, right?
Oh, okay.
To a very high standard. So I don't know who got the invite, yourself or George, but they were invited up as referees. And
Nice.
they says, we've got room for 2 linesmen. And me and Toddy stuck our hands up. Well, Stevie Lewis was going initially, and he had to cancel, so I jumped in there. And the 4 of us ended up on our way to the Shetland Islands to celebrate the 25 years of Buchan winning the Sevens competition. And absolutely fantastic time. We got put up, fantastic place we got put up in, a little hotel, wasn't it? Lovely place. But yeah, it was great time. We went up dressed as superhero characters on the boat.
I was going to ask, was that the Batman and Robin trip?
That was the Batman and Robin trip, yeah. 24 hours on a boat dressed as Batman.
And as I recall, there were a number of videos that surfaced on said internet. I remember seeing 1 or 2. Was there not a picture of Batman and Robin walking casually down the street? I can't remember it. It was a long time ago. But
oh yeah. That's right. Yeah, it's funny as well.
So 25. Sorry, on you go.
No, just saying, Toddy was behind the camera doing the sound of Batman. And me and Davey Marshall are running by on the other side of the road.
Oh dear, I don't know. And how old were you at this time?
Oh man. No, we were still young. We were in our 40s.
Well, what's that phrase though? What's that phrase that we don't stop playing games because we grow old? Is that right? We grow old when we stop playing games. Is that? I think that's the way that it goes. And I can't remember who it is, but I like my quotes. I'll remember who it is, but yeah. When does it stop? When do we stop getting dressed up as Batman and Robin?
Why should you?
You just migrates a little. Go from Batman and Robin to motorbike tours. Has there been anything in between?
What do you think, Davey? Yeah, there's been families, there's been kids, there's been everything. Wives.
Went on holiday together to France like that. You turning up in your Fiat 500.
Oh, yes.
What happened there?
We went on a family holiday to Paris, just outside Paris, camping grounds, mobile home place. That was fantastic. And I hired a car at Paris airport. I think, Davey, you drove over, did you?
Yeah, we went over early.
Yeah, and we flew into Paris and then hired a car. But me being me, I thought, I've only got a small family. The kids are only young. I hired a Fiat 500. And literally, like, the luggage all pushed into it. Davey and Shirley are waiting at the campsite for us. And they couldn't stop laughing because literally I could have walked outside the car and picked it up and ran with it. You know, it was that. Yeah. A funny moment. Yeah, so a great family holiday. In fact, his brother Rab and Annette and all the kids were on that holiday as well.
Oh, brilliant! Fantastic. So the connection there. Where's everybody else then? Just now, what's who are you still all in touch with? Of the like original kind of gang. Some of those names that you mentioned. Who are you? You still speak to people regularly? Are they everybody still? People want to know, don't they? These names that they've not heard for a while. What they all up to?
I think from my perspective, I'm a typical bloke and a typical rap person where I don't really keep in contact a great deal with people. Sort of maybe the odd message here and there. And it seems to be every year it's in the rugby. Whoever turns up to the rugby. So it's I say, because Hammy used to go to the rugby with Hammy. Hammy hadn't been for a while. Toddy, you already mentioned Toddy Anderson. Bam Bam goes. I remember, in fact, we were in the Beehive. We bumped into Gordon Clark on.
Oh yeah.
And Lenny.
Yeah.
Gordon
Yes,
Clark and Lenny.
Yeah. I remember seeing the videos from that night as well. They arrived on my personal phone, probably from Gordon or Lenny.
Well, Gordon ended up staying with us that night because he missed his train. He stayed in that accommodation. Like, yeah, he's good, great lad.
Yeah, that used to happen a lot when Gordon and yeah, it did.
But the Belfast is Gary Barlow, Mark Osborne, yourself, Gordon Clark. I mean, those Belfast shows.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to get one on the last couple of years. Obviously, the world is only starting to wake back up again, I think, after the pandemic. But,
yeah.
And then the lads, Toddy, as I said, Rob Marshall, Davey, they're the regulars on tour with the Swamp Donkeys for the rugby, George Whitecross.
Yeah.
And then I've been, I just missed actually the Stanmore Rangers trip there, the Super Saturday for the rugby, March 17 down in Cardiff. I couldn't make it. So the names there would be Dave Pike, Bully, Richie Bull, Andy McIntyre, he's Comsen guy, Jason Dark, Kev Thomas, another Comsen guy. They'd meet up regularly every couple of years for the Stanmore Rangers rugby club bash.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're the sort of people I still keep in contact with regularly. Taff Bennett, obviously, great lad.
Yeah.
We keep in contact with him. Was over in Wales there just before the pandemic. Actually, we went to see a Wales game in Cardiff. His son had bought a ticket for his birthday, so I flew over into Bristol, and then trying to get from Bristol to Cardiff was a nightmare that night, but I got there anyway. Yeah, so Dave Barber, Taff Langdon, myself, Taff Langdon, Dave Barber, Dave Pike are regularly in contact. And every single often we'll meet up for the Lions tour. We do the Lions. So they're the sort of lads I'm still in contact with.
Yeah. Now that's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry, Dave, what are you saying?
Yeah, so the likes of Bisto I keep in contact with.
Bisto, another, I can tell you, great lad, Bisto. Me and Bisto and Davey all swim to be together, joined up together.
Yeah.
Remember Bisto, do you, Vicky?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, really nice guy. I remember. Yeah.
What's your memory of him then?
Sorry?
What's your memory of him?
I can't really say.
Surprise me.
I can't. Okay, so I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what I can say. So I went on a double date with him. And I did. Yeah. Obviously I was with Karen, and he was with someone else, and we went. As I recall, we went to see. It was like A Nightmare on Elm Street 3D. It was that 3D one at the Odeon Cinema up the road from Charlie Brown's. Do you remember, in Aberdeen? And I remember, I also, the other thing I remember about him, and yeah, so don't ask me specifics, but nights in the West End, usually after some sort of like sporting event or something, but nights in there, I recall, messy, hot, yes, and a few other things. I was on Gate Guard with him once as well, and that's all I can say on that as well. Yeah, but a really nice guy. Yes. So I've probably not spoken to him or her in way over 30 years. So say hello to him next time you speak to him. Tell him I was asking after him, and ask him if he remembers Nightmare on Elm Street 3D in the Odeon with Karen and I and Deacon. There you go. So some crazy days up there. Some crazy days. Right. Listen. Should we talk about this? Should we talk about this tour? Should we talk about this bike? Should we talk about this bike trip? Because I do have. So I guess first of all, is there any? I might know the answer to this or not. Is there any rhyme or reason to like the route that you've chosen this time, or do you actually know the route that you're going? You said it's longer. Is it have you got a firm plan, or is it a loose plan, or?
We have a direction.
Okay.
What we've
nice.
got basically, it's a daily plan. Basically, we planned every day. We've got a direction. We've talked about it. We've looked at it. We've cut it down. We've increased it. We've cut it down. We've increased it. Like so, basically, the initial plan was to try and do every capital city in Europe.
Nice.
Over a 6-week period. But when we started getting down into the nitty gritty, we thought it's not going to happen. It's not, because I wanted to get the most northern part of Norway, Nordkapp. I wanted to get that in as well. So it was just a stretch too far. But what we've decided to do is basically the western part of Europe, the Spain, the Portugal, France, Germany, Italy. I've certainly done those to death on the motorbike. But what we haven't seen, and Davy's similar, is Eastern Europe and Scandinavia, especially on the bike.
Oh, yeah.
So our plan, our sort of direction initially is literally I'm heading across to Belfast, up to Scotland, straight across Scotland to Newcastle, and we're sailing out of Newcastle to Amsterdam. Obviously, Davy comes down from Aberdeen and we meet at Newcastle. From Amsterdam, we basically make a beeline for Slovenia. We're looking at about probably a 2-day ride across Germany into Slovenia. The second day, all going well. And then literally from there, it's all the way south along the Adriatic coast to Athens. So we're going through Albania, Bosnia Herzegovina, Croatia, Slovenia, all those countries all the way down there along the coast there, all the way down to Athens. And then the plan is to go around the coast to Istanbul in Turkey. Yeah. And that's our changing point then. We then start heading north again, and we're heading on into the likes of Romania, Moldova, Hungary, up into Poland, then into Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, Finland, straight on up north to Nordkapp in Norway. Yeah. And then back down the coast of Norway into Sweden, Denmark, and across into Germany that way, and back home.
Wow. So, what's your estimated total mileage?
Well, Davey reckons it's 10,000. I reckon it's a lot more than that. Yeah, I think we just put 10,000 on it.
It's a minimum of 10,000.
Yeah.
That's a fair shift. And how long do you expect it to take you?
We've got 6 weeks.
So you got to fit it into the 6 weeks, right? Okay,
So,
right,
and
okay.
we haven't got any accommodation booked. We've nothing planned. We're literally day by day. Come 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we're going to start looking for accommodation, whether that's wild camping, in a campsite,
Yeah.
in a hotel, in a B&B, whatever it is, wherever we are, we'll make a decision at 4 or 5 o'clock that evening. We've got one place.
Yeah.
Davey's got a friend in Romania that's invited us to stay there, and that's probably about halfway, Davey. So it's probably a good time to spend a couple of days there and get our bearings back together, because we literally will be. It's going to be tough. 400 to 800 mile rides a day for a lot of it.
400 to 800 miles, between 4 and 800 miles a day.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, there will
Okay.
be days. Well, there will be days when we do 80 miles because we just can't be asked.
Yeah. Yeah. But there are days that will be long hours on the saddle, as it were.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Is there anything like a tour bucket list? Are there any countries where you've got sort of, right, a bit of a tick list of like, I'd like to do this here, or any kind of, yeah.
Well, we're definitely. Davey's mentioned the Auschwitz. Go ahead, Davey.
Yeah, so that's on my bucket list. I've never done it. I know it'd be quite humbling. So yeah, it's certainly that's something on my bucket list. Going down the Adriatic coast anyway, doing that.
Yeah.
Going across the Transylvania, which is in Romania. It's supposed to be an amazing. So I've got an idea of some things that I'd really like to do. In fact, I've never been to Athens.
Yeah,
So-
the ruins in Athens, which are bike. I mean, I've never been to the mainland of Greece, as Davey said. We've been to the islands, Kos,
Yeah.
kids overseas. You know, but the mainland, Athens, to see those historic buildings on your motorbike, fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. Be nice.
Black Sea,
Making memories, right?
absolutely.
Making memories, and it sounds like Charlie and Ewan. I'm looking and I'm going, who's who? But to actually say anything other than Davey would be Ewan, because obviously Scottish. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Have you?
Charlie lives down the road from here.
Does he?
Yeah, his family is from Kildare. They live out the road there.
Yeah. Are there any bits of the trip that are, you know, I've watched all of theirs. I even watched the latest one. Did you watch that one? Where they did it on electric bikes.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed that. I've got visions, and I know that you will be, I'm assuming, most of the time on roads. I've just like some of the tracks that I've seen them on, and some of the is there anything like that you're going to have to face? Anything kind of like, you know, treacherous roads?
There's going to be remote parts of Albania and Bosnia and Romania that aren't always paved roads.
Yeah.
Then into northern Norway. I mean, we're going above the Arctic Circle. I'm not sure, has the snow melted yet? Will it be gone by the time we're there? So yeah, we don't know what we're facing day to day as we go down. Like, we're heading all the way down towards the Mediterranean, down to Greece and Turkey, and then we're heading north of the Arctic Circle. So we've got a bit of extremes coming both ways, which is difficult to pack for on a motorbike, because you'd rather just take one set of clothing, either cold weather or warm weather clothing, whereas we're going to have to do a bit of mix and match. And as you know, there's not much room on a bike to take a lot of stuff. So yeah, it's going to be interesting.
I saw your picture of you starting to pack. That looked like a lot of stuff that you've got, and not a lot of space.
No, well, I've got one bag packed now, so I'm happy with that. All my camping gear is fitted into one bag, so I'm happy.
Yeah. Right.
Andy,
Have you start?
Andy, you told me 2 weeks ago that you're packed, ready to go.
I lied.
Are you packed yet, Davey?
Not far off.
Oh, that's all right.
Far off.
You're getting prepared.
I've got something in the panniers. That's about it. And I've got my
Right.
tent.
Wing
Nice.
Commander Marshall there is always prepared.
Oh,
Just had to get it in there that he retired as a Zob.
did you, Davey?
I did.
Did you? As a wing commander?
No.
No, but as an officer,
Group captain.
group captain. Well, good for you. Good for you.
They offered me my commission in 2001,
Which you took.
which I took, and
Yeah.
12 years, and then came out in 2012, I think it was.
Crikey. So that's only just over 10 years since you came out.
Yeah,
Crikey.
As I said,
Do you know what what are you doing now, Davey?
Oh, I don't want to bore you too much. I've got two streams going actually. I've got two streams. I've got my current job, which is really based around project management, but I'm also trying to get my own business started up with some executive coaching where I help leaders improve their performance and then work with their teams to bring out a better culture in the team. So it's getting them higher performing teams, really.
Yeah. Nice. Oh, I love that. Yeah. Very good. How's it going? How's that going? How's the coaching going?
It's going very well. It's sort of I'm still doing a lot of pro bono work at the moment. But eventually, my personal plan would be to make that as a revenue stream coming in. So I'm still working on that. Obviously, I've got trips to get out the way first before I can really focus on that. But that's something I'd like to try and get going as much as I could.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Nice. And Andy, you've been out a lot longer, haven't you?
Yeah, I got out about 98.
Yeah.
The way I looked at it was, I got my degree out of booking. I got my master's degree out of SDC. And the Ireland I had left, the third world country, had changed into one of the most prosperous countries in Europe. So I thought it's time to go home.
Yeah.
It's great move.
And did it. And it's on the whole, it's been nice to you. It's had its ups and downs, right? But
I was in my own business, unfortunately, when the financial crisis hit. So I got hammered at that. But the best thing about it was I made every penny back through contracting with the banks in the financial industry. Yeah. They took it off me in one hand, but I got it all back in the back door, working my ass off as a contractor. So, yeah, and now I'm working actually for a charity now at the moment, but it's an Irish government charity. We're civil servants. We work for the government as such. And what we do is any funding the government is giving out to communities or organizations, sports bodies, anything like that, we create the websites and we do the programs for them. So one of the programs there, electric vehicle charge points for sports clubs. So your football grounds can now apply for funding to put EV charge points, and they go to our website. So I manage a team that is the testing team. So we test all the software before it goes live. So it's absolutely fantastic. But our main bread and butter is the national childcare. We have the national childcare scheme. So we fund all the creches and child-minding bodies throughout the country, and parents can apply for funding for childcare and so forth like that as well. So both organisations and parents can apply for their funding. So it's absolutely fantastic feeling. And I literally started the job. I went for the interview in February 2020. I got offered the job at the end of February, so I handed in a month's notice to the financial firm I was working for. And literally, the middle of March, the whole lockdown happened. So I wasn't sure where I was going. I left my other job, had I still got a job, but luckily I'd had. So I haven't physically been in work. I've been working from home ever since the last 3 years. So it's been fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
how did lockdown treat you overall?
Oof. For me, it was the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Yeah,
And I'll go into that. Mental health wise, it was the best thing for me. Physical health wise, was the best thing for me. Um, I was on, since the financial crisis, I was on the sort of rat race to repay all the money that my business had lost. And it was just go, 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 non-stop. It was practically, at some stage, it was 7 days a week. And it was just, when lockdown happened, it sort of felt like me. I took a step off that rat race for the first time probably ever, and was able to just stand back and go, whoa, and completely relax and completely take it easy. So for me, and I know everybody's had different experiences, and some very, very bad experiences, obviously, and even like people have died and so forth. But for me, it was the best thing that happened to me. And I went walking. You got me into the walking, actually. You got us into that virtual walk. That was the first one. The Land's End to John O'Groats virtual walk.
Yeah.
And I've been, you obviously know I've had my hip replaced and that. And obviously I was a big sports person. I love my sports. And when you get something like that done, you can't go back, and I can't do running anymore. So I've always been looking for something to take that sort of, what else can I do?
Yeah.
I need to
replace it. Yeah.
The last thing I ever thought about was walking, because you just like, I was a rugby player, a basketball player, a football player. The last thing you think about in your head is, oh, let's go for a walk. You know, it's really different. So but when you got me into that walk, that was it. I haven't stopped. I literally have not stopped since then. I do about 12 miles a day walking, every day, 7 days a week. It's absolutely brilliant, absolutely amazing. We have the most amazing park here beside us. We've got a private entrance into the park here. It's about a 800-acre park. There's 3 fishing lakes. There's loads of woods and forests. It's absolutely fantastic. I know every single inch of that park, because obviously in lockdown there was a 5-kilometer range as well. So literally all my walking was in that park. So the Land's End to John O'Groats walk was all done in that park. I went on and did the Route 66. I did it in that park. That was 3,000 miles I've done in that park just on Route 66. And then I did the Malin Head to Mizzen Head, which is the John O'Groats Land's End of Ireland. So the 2 longest points in Ireland, Mizzen Head.
I saw the medals on your page. I was looking for a photo for scheduling this last night, and I saw the medals. Because I remember when we started that Land's End to John O'Groats, and by the time you had finished that and then gone on to, there was you and Hammy. You and Hammy were like,
Hammy's a little fucker. Hammy beat me.
He did. He was, but he was doing about 25 miles a day, I think, there or thereabouts.
He was 3rd or 4th or something out of those 20,000 that was in it. Hammy did very well in that. Fair play to him. I remember the guy in front of him was something like 5 miles ahead of him or something like that. So it was the last stretch, and Hammy had a day to do. So what Hammy did was, he got up early the next morning, got his miles in, recorded it, and beat your man to the finish line. And I think he came 3rd overall, 3rd or 4th.
Yeah, overall. I think it was. Yeah, I think he was 3rd. But I remember it was they gave you a year to finish it, and I remember just at the end, because there was quite a lot of people all sort of doing it. And I think of that sort of group of people that we knew that were doing it, the last few to finish, who took like the year, who were just doing small chunks. And I remember at the point in time when just the last person finished around the time that you finished Route 66. So it was you had gone on to do Route 66, and then when everybody was finishing, it was either around the same time or you had done Route 66 before it. So it was crazy. So you've just kept going since then.
Basically, yeah. Well, we got a dog 3 years ago now, sheepdog, and she just wants to keep walking. And obviously,
Yeah.
then I've got the beach house. We've got a mobile home down by the beach. Davey's got one there as well. But during lockdown, that was fantastic because I could work from there. So I was working
Yeah.
from the beach for those 2 summers. And we've got, I mean, that beach there beside us, it's about at least 25 miles long. I've never got to one end of it, actually. It's that long. So it could be longer. But the other end is fantastic. There's a 9-mile walk to get a beer and a pizza up on the cliff. It's a fantastic place. And then back the way. So yeah, we've done that. Me and the dog have done that a couple of times.
Fantastic. What about yourself, Davey? Lockdown. How's your last 3 years been?
Lockdown. I
Look at him. He's helping the pub.
I got myself a bar. So no, lockdown was a bit different for me because I tell you, when I went ill, so I was in hospital and it was going to be waiting around the hospital for 3 weeks. Or they said, what about we discharge you and then you can come to the clinic tomorrow on the Monday, or something like that. I says, okay then. So they discharged me. Got a phone call the following day saying everything's in lockdown, all appointments are cancelled. So I couldn't get seen for months on end. So it was just going through that challenge of, and just before lockdown as well, we decided that we were going to move because I'd had enough of doing an hour and a half on the train each way from Elgin down to Aberdeen. So we moved. Our house wasn't finished. Had to go into rented accommodation for 6 months until the house was finished, and it was just so it was a bit of a up and down journey, should we say?
Right.
We didn't have that time where a lot of people had to sit back, relax, reset. It was just homeschooling. Oh my God, let's not go there. It was. I've got so much respect for teachers now. It is incredible how they cope. I had one to deal with, and I couldn't even cope with that. So.
Yeah. Crikey. Yeah. So it's been it's certainly been a 3 years. And just as I've heard there, for what a very similar set of, on the surface, circumstances, and it can be very, very different for different people. So in terms of the charities that you've both chosen for raising money during this mammoth 6-week 10,000 mile plus jolly. I'm sorry, I have to say this, right? But because it is going to be a jolly. Oh, we're going to suffer. We're going to be in the saddle for hours some days. It's going to be tough. Right? For this jolly, the charities that you've chosen. I'm sorry, I'm just teasing. You know I am. What kind of part of like your experiences in lockdown have kind of formed your decision to kind of choose the charities? Has it been kind of connected? I mean, I guess what I'm saying to asking both of you, and Davey, I'll start with you. So your experiences over like the last 3 years, want to raise a little bit of money now for Scottish Association for Mental Health. Just a little bit of that journey that's kind of led you to go, do you know what, we're going to do some work for these guys.
Yeah, I'll back you up here because I know my wife will agree. Sort of, it is a bit of a jolly. Don't get me wrong. It is a bit of a bucket list trip. This, so there is a personal aspect to this. This is something that I really want to do. And
good.
For myself,
and why shouldn't there be? Right? Why shouldn't there be? We only live once.
It was Andy planted the seed, and from my perspective, I thought about it, and it was awful because he planted that seed and it just started to grow, and it grew, and then obviously I asked my wife about it, and we thought about it, and if I don't do it now, I'll never do it. If I waited till I retired, I may not be fit enough to do this kind of journey. So that was a big drive. So there is a personal aspiration to do this as a whole, and because we were doing it, we wanted to involve charities and things like that. And the reason I've gone down to the SAM route, initially I looked at Mind, and then I looked in detail and found out that's just an English and Welsh charity. So I wanted to find a Scottish charity. The reasons I've gone down the line of mental health is I've got friends and family that have suffered from mental health, and unfortunately I've had 3 friends that have not survived through mental health, should we say. So it's well, the mental health charity side of things is quite close to me, and it's quite personal. And yeah, trying to support some people, you don't know how to, hence my conversation earlier. It's not just about, even if I'm not suffering from it, I don't know how to support people with it all the time, and making people aware there's a lot of help and support out there to help the support as well, not just individuals who are suffering. So it's so that's what's driven me down it, sort of having encountered friends and family that have had it, etc., and obviously sadly some friends that have passed.
I think it's one of these. It's that I use the word serious. It's that widespread. I think everybody knows somebody. Everybody usually knows multiple people that have been impacted massively. And I love that the little add-on there that what Sam are really pushing there is that support for like people that support people with mental health challenges as well. So yeah, fantastic.
Stats that Sam come out with is 1 in 4 people this year in Scotland suffer from mental health, and I just find that quite staggering. So
I was having a chat with the regeneration officer for this community, and we were talking about the mental health challenge around here as well, and so some statistics. This was just West Lothian, but some of the statistics that I was shown in terms of the number of people that visit the doctor. The figure is the same. It's like about 30. I think it's about 33% of all people. It's like 1 in 3 people that visit the doctor and receive medication receive some sort of antidepressant or kind of medication to help with mental health. Now, and again, they've said some of those might be given for back injuries, but what it shows is that those numbers, they don't lie. So
you'll appreciate sort of with your time in the military, even up until I left, mental health wasn't taken seriously. When it's and I'd say 2012, it's only 10, 11 years ago, and people of my generation, men of my generation, couldn't talk about it. Now I think we've certainly come leaps and bounds from where we were. I was at a party fairly recently, and somebody at the police came up to me and started talking to me about PTSD and how they had it, but they could relate to me because I'd been in the military and the service I'd done, and I was looking back at that and reflecting, thinking that wouldn't have happened 10 years ago. You know what I mean?
No.
So it's given an opportunity for people to speak about it is, I think, that steps in the right direction, but we're still tiptoeing about it a bit, particularly people of my generation.
I mean, that's exactly what I was going to say and answer your question, Graham. Was our generation never talked about it, and certainly our parents wouldn't discuss it. It was there's nothing wrong with you, get on, go for it, And our generation didn't talk about it. Even though the generation behind us are talking about it, I think they need it more than us, because the technology now is 24/7. They can't get away from it. They can't shut it off. I've watched my kids grow up. I was very lucky. My son, he took to karate at a young age, and the sensei was absolutely brilliant. But he taught him how to meditate. He taught the class how to meditate. This sensei, he wrote books on meditation and so forth. And my son took to it like a duck to water early age, and it has stood him in stead ever since. He is such a laid-back guy. He was nearly getting his black belt, but the pandemic happened and he gave everything up for basketball. He does no other sport but basketball. 7 days a week, he's got a basketball in his hand. Now, we happened to grow from 5'8" to 6'5" during lockdown, so that helped. That was a big help. But he now. I've told him about you and your meditation practices and so forth like that, and you becoming a master in meditation and so on. And he wants to do that. He loves it, absolutely loves it. But you know when he's been meditating because he is just so relaxed. He's brilliant, and that word is getting out there amongst that generation. They're not afraid to talk about it, and I think they need to talk about it a lot more than we ever did because of the technology now. So what we're doing is only a small percentage. At least it's getting our generation talking. We're talking here today about it, and it's as Davey said. Even in the last 10 years, it's come on leaps and bounds. But there's still a long way to go yet. You know, the charity I'm doing it for, Pieta House, only gets 20%, and it's one of the biggest organisations here for mental health now. It started off as a little tiny place. It only gets 20% from the government. You know, 80% comes from doing things like this, like stupid things like going on a mobile trip. But it is. It's good to see people talk about it.
It is. It's refreshing. I mean, I'd love to hear, you know, and the things that people are doing as well to support the charities as well. I think that you're right. I think we've come so far, but there's also, let's say, there's still a little bit of a stigma. There's still certainly our generation, and like our parents. I mean, that, you know, that generation was kind of brought up sort of post, you know, war, and that was those kind of things were never spoken about, but we've been brought up exactly the same way. Our time in the military, I mean, can you imagine, and I guess, and this is no criticism against the military, but can you imagine any one of us going to our corporal in 1989, 1990 and telling them that we were depressed? I mean, we wouldn't say that, but imagine saying something like, I really miss home. I really miss my mum and dad, to the point that, like, you know, it's really causing me a lot of discomfort. Or anything more serious. I can't imagine what it would be like having had a conversation like that back then, because, like you say, we were just steered in a direction of go and take your head for a shit, or go for a run, or go and sort yourself out. And now it's
even the guys in World War I, World War II, who ran away from the military due to shell shock or PTSD, or, you know, they've only been sort of recognised recently. I mean, they were out as traders, AWOL, because they ran away from all this stuff. And the people that came back, who stayed in the military but then came back and left, they suffered in silence for the rest of their life, you know, because there was no mental health services then. So we have come on a long way, but there's still a long way to go yet.
Yeah, and I think as well as spreading the message, spreading the word, raising awareness, but also I think that is very, I think, relevant with people our ages as well, is that there are some people now willing to talk. There are a lot of people, certainly more people now willing to talk, to share that journey. And what is great about that is for every journey shared, if that is only touches one or two other lives, but that's enough to make somebody else think, do you know what, I'm not alone, then that's a tick in the box for awareness and kind of spreading it. But I think the other thing is as well, and I never really kind of quite got this, was that I think now one of the reasons that people don't speak about any challenges, problems, mental challenges that they've been having, I think part of the reason they don't talk about it is, yes, there's still a little bit of that stigma, but also there's that aspect of just maybe not knowing what to do, not knowing what the problem is, and not knowing how to resolve it. And I think, as every single one of us has seen or experienced, there's little things like reaching out and speaking to people, and then realizing all of the scientifically proven stuff that actually helps your mental health, things like, you know, joining a group of like-minded people going to do a virtual 874 mile walk around the country that allows you to get out and just get some fresh air. You know, like you've done, Andy, a number of times, decided, right, do you know what, I'm going to eat a little bit cleaner, I'm going to double down on that exercise, and I'm going to get myself in shape. It's like those kind of things all contribute. And at the time, I gave up booze as well. Yeah, you're on the Erdinger tonight. Nice.
Yeah, the non-alcoholic Erdinger. I gave up. I'm an accidental soberist, would you believe? I gave up alcohol over 2 years ago. Now, the Swamp Donkeys came over in between that, and I had a session with them, then get straight back up again. It was the strangest thing ever. When the pubs closed, I never really liked drinking at home. So when the pubs closed, like everybody else, I said, right, I'll give it up for 6 weeks until the pubs open again. And well, they never opened again, did they? So that 6 weeks became 6 months. That 6 months became 12 months and so forth. So, yeah, and I really enjoyed it. And I never went back on it. So, yeah. It's cleared my head, it's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. But I do enjoy the non-alcoholic beers. And they give me a bit of a buzz anyway. It's like that sort of effect.
Yeah, placebo effect.
Yeah. So,
no, I'm the same. I found a beer. Is it Corona? Is it the Corona? Is it Corona? It's one that's just I want to say, yeah, I'm sure it's Corona. It's zero alcohol beer. I watched a review of it before I had been able to find it, and the guy, he was like a professional beer taster and critic, and he was sniffing this beer, and he said, "What's that? This smells like weed. I'm sure this," and he tastes it, and he said, "I'm still getting aromas of weed." And I found this hilarious. So anyway, I found it, got some. It's my favourite non-alcoholic beer.
It smells like weed. That's the one from it.
And the first time that I opened it and I had a bottle in the house, my wife turned to me and went, "What have you been up to?" She's like, "What have you been doing? I can smell weed." And I'm like, "No, it's my beer." She was like, "My arse." I was like, "No, smell it." So there you go, Corona Thero. It smells like weed and it tastes lovely as well. So anyway, there we go with non-alcoholic beer. So in terms of the charities, what can we do to kind of help spread the word out there and get you guys as much money raised as we possibly can? Have we got some links that we can share with this post and kind of pop something out?
I've got just a link that I'd like to share if people want to give.
It
just moves the story a little bit. I think Andy's got exactly the same, but for his charity. So it's if we can both put the links on the page, that'd be great.
Fantastic. Yeah, of course you can. Of course you can. And in terms of just remind us, because what I might be able to do is chop these up a little bit and just put out like a wee 30-second reminder a little bit nearer the time. So remind us of the date that you start.
26th of April.
26th of April.
26th of April, and that should be for 6 weeks. And I'm guessing, so we'll get the links, but in terms of how people can follow your progress, are you gonna, for the geeks out there, Andy and Davey, I'm sure both of you have probably got something in terms of a tracker. I know Andy still tracks planes, so I'm sure that he's going to track his own. Tell me I'm wrong, you do still track planes, don't you?
I do. Once a Scobie, always a Scobie. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to obviously you post some photographs up on Facebook and this, that, and the other. But I mean, we could certainly do, if the internet allows and the thing is there, a couple of weeks into the trip, we can come back on here, Pinky, and even see where we are. God knows where we'll be at the time, but if the internet connection is good,
yeah,
we can really come back on and give an update. I am going to attempt to do videos along the way. Now I know there's a Dave Large. If you're listening, I need to get in touch with Teapot One, Bruce, just to say hello. But Bruce is he worked with Dave Large. He's a video blogger, motorbike blogger. Just need a few hints and tips. But I think I got it sussed. Now, I'm no editing professional, so don't think Steven Spielberg is going to be throwing videos back your way. But I've got a load of camera stuff. I've got a drone as well, Davey. I don't know if I told you that or not. I've got a drone as well. So hopefully some footage will come our way. Maybe not every day, because editing is a pain in the ass, but we're going to take the footage all day, hours and hours of footage, to try and narrow that down into 5-10 minutes or 20-minute slots. So we'll do our best along the way to keep people posted. Definitely photographs will probably be up there most days, and we'll try and get videos out at least a couple a week. But I'm not
nice.
Yeah. Well,
that'll be good.
I'm not going to do any editing. You'll probably just get raw footage from me. So it's I've already suggested it on my Facebook page, and some people have said, "Yeah, new followers updated." So at least every other day, a quick reel or something. That's what we intend to do.
Yeah,
just to keep people
brilliant. Yeah, no, that will be good. As somebody whose daughter has just travelled around Europe, and I was completely cool with her being away. She was on her own for parts of it, and I knew that she would be fine. But members of the family that were saying to us, tell Heather to post updates. Just I worry about her, I think it's the female, more maternal instincts, and Karen had said to her at the beginning, I want you to send me an update every single day. So in that sense, I'm sure there will be people that will want to see your updates, want to know you're both safe at the end of the day. So we'll look forward to it. We'll get the links up. Just before I let you go, I've not put any of these up during our conversation. Sometimes if there's a natural break, but we've just been yapping all night. So I just want to read out some of the comments for you. Some of the people that have tuned in said hello, give them a little shout out, and then I'll let you guys say a wee final message as well. So Joe Hilder tuned in, said hi all, love what you're doing here, all looking great. AOH smashing the weight loss, buddy.
Thank you for
there's Joe. Becky Kinroy Taylor simply said, 2 jocks and a leprechaun. Love you guys.
Love you guys.
Andy O'Hare, your voice hasn't changed a bit. What else have we got on here? Oh my good lord, there's loads. There's absolutely loads. Let me read out. So we've had Mr. Fairclough on saying hello, Pete Tuckerman, Ali Back, Davey, your good lady wife said it is a jolly. Karen, my good lady wife, is watching as well. Shirley says, I have loads of stories of you all. Maybe we get Shirley on. Delta Mike is indeed watching, Andy, and you're in trouble because he said, where was his invite to this epic trip? Oh shit, he's saying.
He's working for Microsoft now. He never get the time off.
Actually, you're right there. Yes, indeed. So what he did, he said he's going to send you his number, mate. He's going to send you his number. Okay. And the final word I'm not saying, but I'm just going to pop it on the screen. That's I don't know if you can see it, a parting gesture from Becky. I'm assuming to you two, not me. Okay. Davey, any final words for tonight? Listen, thank you so much for coming on.
No, thanks. Thank you very much for having us on, to be honest. It's very much appreciated, and I hope you'll enjoy following us and let's try and raise some money to raise awareness of mental health.
Absolutely, yeah. I can't wait. Mr. O'Hare.
Oh, it's just been great being on. I can't believe it's over an hour and 20 minutes or so there on the clock. But that was fantastic. Yeah, really enjoyed it. Great to see those comments there. I hope everybody enjoys the trip as we're going to. I'll try and keep as much photographs, videos posted up, keep us up to date. But yeah, 26th of April. And for our charities, it's a Just Giving page for me and Davey. There's 2 pages, one for the Irish one for the Scottish one. If you want to give £1 to £100, but it doesn't really matter. Just get something in there and support us along the way. It's all for the mental health. Great cause of mental health. Thanks a million, guys.
Fantastic. Listen, thank you both very much indeed. Don't you two go anywhere. But for now, one final thank you just to the two of you for pulling me out of not retirement, but we've not done one of these for a little while, and I've absolutely loved it. So thank you for making me get my JFDI on and JFDI my own JFDI show. So thank you, and to everybody that's tuned in tonight, thank you very much indeed. We may well do this again soon. Who knows? All right. But yes, until the next time. We'll see you later.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks a million, guys.